Well, how's it going, Lou?
It's going really well. I'm upstate New York. I went for a hike this morning, trying to stay in shape and fight off those COVID curves.
Well, let's dive right into what's happening on RHONY right now. Where we left off, Ramona broke the fourth wall.
No! I quit the show, right? Done! Great production here, we're done. Yes, done.
Did she threaten to quit the show?
She
Oh,
threatened
I
to quit the
missed
show.
that. I missed that. Yeah. Yeah, Ramona was like, she was embarrassed by Leah's behavior. Ramona, really judges, I think, Leah more harshly than she does Sonja. I think she's
Okay.
used to Sonja's antics. And with Leah, she feels like the mother figure and is always giving her advice and thought her behavior was not classy.
What's been really interesting about this year in Bravo is we've kind of seen the fourth wall breaking happen a lot and make it to TV. Has Ramona tried to control stuff before?
Well, sure. I mean, I remember when we were filming in, I think the Turks and Caicos, there was a moment where Sonja was just not well. And, cameras down, so this is not the first time.
But why do you think Ramona has such an issue with Leah? Is it just because she's the new girl and she's giving her a hard time, or?
Well, I think that, she judges Leah more harshly than she does the others. She's new, giving her a hard time, feels like she's a mother figure. So feels like she should chime in on her behavior.
It seems like we might even reach a point where Ramona crosses a line.
I found out she's bipolar and she's on medication. You cannot mix alcohol with meds. It makes you act not responsible.
Do you think she crossed the line?
Ramona loves to weigh in on Leah way too much. And you'll have to see what happens coming up in the next episodes.
You guys are headed to Mexico in the next few episodes. What can you tell me about this trip? It's always memorable when the New York ladies head anywhere, especially Mexico.
I know, right? God knows I have my history in Mexico. It's a great trip. We're just, having a great time. And, and of course there's the drama that goes on, and it's, there's more stuff with Dorinda, there's more stuff with Ramona. So I'm really looking forward to watching it myself because I haven't seen it yet either.
Any encounters with bushes this time around?
No, but there's encounters with men. So, it's not a trip without having an encounter with a man. Remember the pirate? I never a pirate. So please welcome to the stage, Jacques Azoulay!
From the look-aheads that we've seen, that Ramona is going to try and stage some sort of anger management intervention with Dorinda.
Can you look in the mirror? Please look in the mirror.
I'm sorry. Why does she do that?
It's kind of an ongoing issue, and Ramona wants to nip it in the bud and get to the bottom of it. So she's trying to approach it in the best possible way. And I don't know if it's going to actually turn out the best possible way for Ramona or Dorinda.
Yeah, we kind of know that when you approach Dorinda about stuff like this, it usually goes the opposite way that maybe the person is intending. And you've obviously had your own issues with Dorinda, most recently in this year's Berkshires trip.
With your hand, you know everything.
You know what?
No, you don't know
You're
everything.
drunk.
No, you don't.
What she's saying
You
is...
drunken fool. You have a mugshot of your drunkenness.
Why do you think she always brings it back to the mugshot with you? Why does she take it to that place?
I don't know. I just know that it doesn't feel good and it's not right. And I think that for her to keep bringing that up is just, it's like sucker punching somebody.
I think something interesting this season was your relationship with alcohol and figuring out what that looks like in a kind of post arrest world. Talk to me about making the decision to not only start drinking again, but to also do it on TV.
Listen, on the show, there's a lot of drinking going on. It's about vacations and parties, and so it's really hard to avoid. And I don't want to make it a thing. I don't want it to define who I am. For 2 years, I spent on probation. Not being able to drink. And, there's nothing worse than somebody saying to you, you cannot have one drink, otherwise you're going to jail. I mean, that's a very difficult way to live. Now, I decided, if I'm going to do another season, maybe I drink, maybe I won't. I'm all for people deciding what they'd like to do with their own lives, and I take it day by day.
I want to take it back to the cabaret fight with Sonja.
I never want to see her in my show. She's not coming into my show. She's worthless. You're worthless, and you're not coming into my show. I'd never want to see you into my show. You're not coming into my show, ever.
How do you feel about how it looked on TV?
Well, listen, I learned from watching myself, and I thought, oh my God, I just drank too much. I wish I could have handled it differently, and really gotten the point across. But in retrospect, I could have handled it better, and I'm glad to have that opportunity, though, to see myself and say, okay, that's not happening again, and you will not see me get that plastered this season. So I'm happy to say.
That's good.
Yeah, that was one night I just kind of went off the rails a little bit.
It happens.
It happens to the best of us.
Yeah, I have seen some of the fan conversation online, though, is that this season does seem very fueled by alcohol more than any season we've seen before.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Does something need to change within this group to...
I think that a lot of what's going on is fueled by alcohol. And I think that, it's time to check in with yourself. I'm not giving any advice to anybody and on those terms because, that's going to fall flat for me. And I certainly don't like to judge people and their drinking because I'm, no one to judge. But I feel like that we could definitely reel in on the drinking part.
Drinking aside, where do you think the group goes after this season? Is it time for a shakeup? Should we introduce some new ladies? What do you think?
Tinsley's now gone, so I'm sure there's going to be someone introduced to the show for the new season. And, I just feel like we need to go somewhere to start off the season. Let's get out of Dodge. We've been here for 4 or 5 months now, right? But there's got to be a place where we can go, where we can just get away from our, everyday lives and just, relax and reconnect.
Yeah, reconnect, reset a little bit.
Reconnect, reset. I think a trip at the very beginning of the season would be the perfect remedy.
I like this idea, Luann.
Yeah, right? I mean, we know that we always go on a trip at the end of the season, right?
Right.
Let's
I
do
like
it
flipping
sooner.
the script, yeah.
I like flipping the script too.
I have seen some of your cast members have judged how Ramona has behaved during this pandemic a little bit. It seems like at least Leah and Dorinda are kind of done with Ramona at this point with how she's behaved. How do you feel about Ramona?
I don't know exactly what she was up to, but let's put it this way. She was a little bit more risque than most people were at that time. Ramona could have been more careful, especially, she has to be around us, coming up soon. So
Right.
So she better be wearing a mask.
So yeah, as you're gearing up for a reunion.
I'm hoping that we're all going to be together in a studio and that's going to pan out. You just never know because with what's happening in the world, things can change on a regular basis.
So right now the plan is to do it in person.
That's the plan.
That's exciting because we haven't had one of those in a little bit.
I know. Well, that's the plan. Who knows?
Yeah. Knock on wood. Hopefully,
knock
fingers
on wood.
crossed.
Mm-hmm.
What's the number one question or thing you want to address this time around?
Well, at this point, let's talk about the cabaret thing. My show started out very small in New York at 54 Below. I had a lot of people on the show, a lot of people to pay, and I wasn't making money in the beginning. So, and Broadway is scale. Sonja, doesn't really come up and perform. She just comes up and says hello and basically, did a little dance with me and then took off her dress.
Look at everybody.
So, maybe I should have spent more on her stripping.
Yeah, maybe you needed to pay that's a different level.
Right, and that's a different scale.
It's a different skill set.
It's a stripper scale.
I do have to ask because it seems every week when the show is on, my Twitter feed is inundated with people just tweeting at Bethenny being like, come back, come back, come back. Would you want to see Bethenny come back or do you like the vibe without her?
I don't think that Bethenny would come back to the show in any case. But listen, bring it on, girlfriend. I've been dealing with Bethenny for years and I'm like her go-to when it comes to finding someone to spar with. Put up your dukes.
Yeah, no, she's kind of said as much too. And I think the show's bigger than any one person. And I kind of like watching the evolution of the group over time.
I got to tell you, I mean, I don't think Leah replaced her because Leah is a totally different person, but I think it's one of our best seasons yet.
It's just like a madness every week. Like there's not really a through storyline of what's happening, but each episode you could rewatch it over and over again. It's like a very watchable season. And something that's actually been fun to watch is you guys filmed your at-home confessionals, and your first one, people took a lot of notice of a portrait you had sitting on a bookshelf. What's the story behind that picture of yourself that was on that bookshelf?
That was, that's an old modeling picture of mine from when I first started modeling in New York. So I'm talking like late 80s. And it actually came from a photographer who did my very first photo shoot in New York. So that's got a lot of history of that photograph.
It did look like they gave you a little bit of an upgrade on your setup for the second round of confessionals, because this last week it was like, oh, we're back kind of to what we know confessionals to be.
We're learning as we go along because, we initially they walked us through setting up everything on our own. I did an interview, on my own. I did a couple, but the last interview that I did, I forgot to press go.
No.
So I'm there after 2 hours in hair and makeup, setting up the shot and bleeding my heart out to the camera for 2 hours more. I'm talking 5 hours, was not recorded. I mean, I could not believe it. all of that talking and energy and, I can't believe she said that. And then I go to hit off. And it
starts recording.
Never recorded. Bryce, I tell you, anyway, we had to get it the next day. So I had to do it all over again.
My goodness. Well, what you were able to make happen has been great TV. It's been such a fun season to watch. I'm excited to see this back half.
Bryce.
I hope you do get to be in person for the reunion, because I think the energy of an in-person reunion is 10 times better than virtual.
I agree.
Anything else you want to say about the last few episodes we're going to get this year?
You know what? It just gets better and better. So enjoy season 12, darling. You're going to love it.